Um, oh, please. Okay. I just invited you, Alma. There she is. Hello.
Hey, hey, I'm so, I mean, we were trying on computer, on the phone, but so glad we are.
You're here. You're
We're
here.
here. We're here.
Welcome. Welcome, Alma. Thank you so much. I know you're swamped, um, but we got to talk about it,
We got to
right?
talk about it. Got to
We
talk
got to
about it. Yeah.
talk about it. We're just going to jump in and let people just jump in the conversation as we're going through it, because I know your time is valuable, and I don't want to keep you forever.
Thank you. Hey, but it is a topic we could talk for hours about, right?
Yeah, interestingly enough, I've been heavy today, just like really, well, over the last few days, just like unpacking um, our conversation and really like thinking about you and your journey. And it's just like, I still can't, it's hard for me to grasp just what you've been through since you're 14 years old
Mm-hmm.
up to here. So, just in case you don't know, this is Alma Davis. Alma is the founder and CEO of Alma Domestic Violence Foundation, that she founded and has been actively working for 19 and a half
Yes.
years. That's a
Yes.
long time to
Long,
be.
a long time.
And I'm just going to say this because I was thinking about this after a conversation earlier in the week. And I said, you going through what you're going through, which you went through
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
growing up and the rest. And everybody, she's going to briefly get into that so you understand what's happening here. And then every day you are helping somebody else who's going through the very same thing. And I was
Right.
wondering to myself, is that
Mm-hmm.
triggering every day, every minute, every hour? Like constantly reliving when your clients are coming to you and when you're actively reaching out to help people?
Yeah. That's such a great point, Stacy, because being in this field, and I'm very particular about mental health, especially even with every team member that works for this organization, right? We are intentional. I'm intentional as the leader to make sure that we have things in place because it does affect your mental health. A lot of the case managers, either they have process, they've been doing this a long time. We have learned coping skills, but when you have new case managers, it can be very overwhelming. It was very overwhelming for me when I got started years ago. And then I had to take a step back and say, number one, I can't take these cases home with me, right? This office, they stay in this office. Now, does that stop people that know me from calling? But I've gotten better at saying, hey, here, let me let you have your client or whoever to call the line, talk to a case manager, because I have to protect my mental health as well, right? And again, it goes back to, can it be triggering? Absolutely. We see that so many people that go through domestic violence, they have PTSD. It's not just military, but it's there might be things that trigger uh, even in your body language, or you might feel yourself tensing up, and it's a reminder of something or the way that you felt when you were going through domestic violence. So to answer your question, it's a day-to-day process, right? And the longer you do this, you learn how to turn it off, turn it back on, and then put your mental health first. So yes, it can be triggering. Yes, there are reminders. But there's also a healthy way to deal with it. And that's some of the tools that we teach people. We tell them they have a toolbox, and we give them skills to work through that. So yes.
Well, again, I really appreciate everything you're doing. The more time we spend together, the more I'm just like, whew, this is a lot, but it's something that I definitely, I'm developing a passion for. You know what I'm saying? Just like,
Yeah.
how can I help? How can I get involved? And just just to provide context, Alma, and I don't, you don't need to spend 15 minutes on it. Just give folk just a little background, right, on how you got here, like how you got engaged with domestic violence
Okay.
as it relates to your foundation. What led up to that?
All right. I will put it in context just this short. By the time I was 16 years old, I had already survived. I had been a survivor of child abuse, of sexual assault, of domestic violence, having my first set of black eyes at 14 years old from another 14 years old, and then sexually assaulted again, raped at the age I was 15. And so I made a clear decision. I never wanted children, never wanted anybody to deal with this because there were no resources. What I saw a lot of growing up was a lot of buddy system. These are things that we don't talk about, that we don't address. What stays in the house, what goes on in the house stays in the house. And the defining moment that happened to me was when I got my first set of black eyes at 14. I was in a parking lot with my abuser. I walked into the mall because I was a teen model. And when I sat in the makeup and hair artist's chair, here they see a child at 14. You are still a child that has two black eyes and a gash in their face. And nobody stopped to ask me, how could they help me? The only thing they did was cover up and use makeup to try to fill in an open cut. And that is the reminder to me every day of why I do the work that I do. At 21, I had my first daughter, and I was just adamant that my child would not repeat the same cycle, and that we had to do a better job at teaching people healthy relationships, what those dynamics look like, not just in a intimate partner relationship, but just healthy relationships, period, because that's a skill that most people don't know how to do. And so therefore, 19 and a half years into this, that's what led me here.
That's a road. That's a journey, right? And I guess we all have our own. And I just want to also say this could be a very triggering conversation for those that are on. So again, we appreciate your support, but we understand if you have to tap out.
Yes.
Right. Like, again, I just really believe that this is something that is very important, and the work that Alma's doing is God's work. Like, literally, she is rescuing people from the situations that they're in. So with that, so again, there have been all the headlines as of late, and really heavy, right? It's not the first time we've seen this kind of behavior, right? We've seen it before in a video, in a football player, right? And here we are with one of our most beloved, if you will, artists, right? And we're watching this person just do whatever and to this young woman, right? And though I've never experienced domestic violence, it was very triggering to me to see it over and over and over and over again. And I had to say, enough. I'm not, I can't watch this. Like, I don't want to watch anything associated with it. My question to you is how does it get there? Right. And I don't know what there is, I guess, because it's, whether it's a slap, a kick, or whatever, right, emotional, whatever, it's still abuse. But how do you see it every day? How does somebody get to that point, right? Because that probably was not the first time.
Absolutely. But I think the first thing that we have to acknowledge is that so many people don't know that they're in abusive relationships. Ooh. That's the first way that it gets to there, because we have normalized so much dysfunction in relationships that most people don't say, hey, it's bad until he or she hits me, when there are so many red flags prior to that. From, if we talk about verbal abuse, we've gotten into a society where it's okay to call somebody a B or something out of their name, and that's not normal. So when it comes from someone you're in an intimate relation with, it's like, oh, okay, well, that's what society says, so it must be okay. When we talk about financial abuse, which is the number one reason why people stay in a domestic violence situation, you would be amazed at the number of people that get into these relationships and stay in there so that they can be financially set, right? And they say, hey, well, if I am set and I am getting A, B, C, and D, I'll rather take the abuse or take the belittling so my lifestyle can be up to par, or what they think is up to par. And so I just think we have, as a society, um, not really taken serious domestic violence and the things that happen leading up to that. And by way of normalizing, this young lady ended up in a horrific situation, but it's not a it's not an anomaly. This
No. And that's what I'm kind of like locking in on, like, I mean, I'm sure because she's young,
hmm
right? It's not like she's, in our age group, she's young. And
hmm
when she got in that relationship, she was young. And I don't mean 21 either.
right.
She was young,
Yes.
right? So I'm sure that that is not what she and her family thought she was getting involved with. And the first thing that came to my mind, when, especially in this entertainment circle, right?
hmm
I think of grooming,
Absolutely.
right? So like, unpack that for me. Like, so I'm sure you have clients that come back and forth, like they're coming in and out of your system, back and forth, right? And they're experiencing something, but they don't really know what it is, and they literally, it starts to evolve, right?
hmm
So to me, that means they're being groomed for, like, something is happening, right? And this young woman that we're referring to has been groomed, and thinking she was getting like her career, things were going to take off for her, and did it not to be a groupie or something like that. She had a talent, and she thought the person who manages talent and deals with talent would help her get into the industry, and that's not exactly what happened.
No, and sadly, that is what's happening across a lot of industries. When we look at the entertainment industry as a whole, from actors, you hear it all the time, like with the Harvey Weinstein,
Mm.
actors and actresses that thought this person of power and control, which is all about domestic violence, was going to help them. Innocently. And so what we have to start understanding is, what are some of those red flags, right? If you
Yes.
tell anybody, if you're a talented person, you should not have to be manipulated or put in situations that you feel uncomfortable to get your talent noticed or helped by. And also, a lot of the accountability, I have to say, this falls on parents as well. When we dig deep into, like, let's talk about the Art Kelly. These were young
These
girls,
were babies. Yeah. I mean, they
14,
were, yes,
7
13. Right. Right. Right.
videos where the parents took them to an Art Kelly concert at 16 and got them backstage. Now, first of all, an Art Kelly concert is very sexual and very sexualized. So what do you think exposing your 16-year-old to that type of viewing? And if that is his MO, it's hard for me to believe, as a parent myself, that those same idealistic things are not coming across to the people that work around him, right? So being an adult, putting your child in this situation, and you're the person that's having to make that decision, there's an accountability that falls on that. Even when we look at the Diddy situation, and when you look at and I'm gonna talk about even the young boys, 14, staying being a year. And I understand you think that's going to be a career, but as a parent, we have an obligation to our children to stay involved and to uh, keep them as safe as much as possible. And being involved is one of those things, right?
Mhm.
Um, 12 years old, staying with a grown man. And, it's just so many dynamics of that abuser does. And when we talk about power and control, they know they have the ability to make it look good in order to groom you, right? Talking to somebody who is desperately wanting to be in the industry, and yes, I'll help you. And they have these tactics that they will use. Oh, I'll do this if you do this. And, and so it's about getting into programs like ours, other organizations teach about healthy relationships, what those dynamics look like. What are those warning signs? I think can help people understand that whole grooming process, because it doesn't start. It is a grooming process. It's not going to happen overnight. And so, how do we notice those red flags, and if you're in that process?
So interesting that you're saying this and mentioning that, because I have friends that have young children, right? And when I say young, I'm talking about that are young teenagers on, just turning to be a teenager, right? What are the warning signs or things that they're looking for? And let me give you context also.
Mm-hmm.
This week I was talking to someone. God, this whole thing has been so triggering for me. Like things that are coming in my brain that I'm realizing things that have happened over my life, right? And they told me that a boy he was 14, slapped her in the face. And I said, what? And she said, yeah. And I said, why? Because she said I was saying bad things to him and he slapped me. And she said, back then it wasn't like, she said, I wasn't scared.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like that. He just slapped me. And I was like, whoa. Right. And then she said it happened again with somebody else where they were dragging her by her hair.
Wow.
As a teenager. And her parents never knew about these things.
Right.
Right. Because parents can't be everywhere. Right. Like sometimes these things happen in school.
Right.
Right.
Right. Right.
But what are the things, and again, I don't know, I'm looking for answers and I know you may not have them. Right. But
I have a few.
I'm sure you do, but I mean, like, I'm just, again, my
Right.
mind, I'm thinking, tell us what should parents be looking for, right?
Mm-hmm.
In their girls and boys, because it's not just, young women and young men,
Mm-hmm.
or young men.
Mm-hmm.
What should they be looking for in these red flags, in their children's behavior or physical, whatever? What should they be looking for?
So the first thing is isolation. Right? When you start to notice that your child is becoming more and more isolated, withdrawn, that's always like a telltale sign, right? The second thing, when you start to notice that their demeanor changes, their characteristics, they're not acting like their normal self. Sometimes you will see where teenagers, like if they were always having their phone around or didn't mind, the parent, that they start making sure that no one's looking at what's on their phone, or very protective, right, of that line of communication that they have to that abuser. Okay. And normally that lets you know there are some inappropriate things taking place that they don't want you to know.
Right, right.
One of the key things I would say, and we do see that a lot of people don't have this skill set, is, as a parent to child, open communication and open dialogue, right? Because your children have to feel like, if I have a secret, or if this abuser tells me I can't tell anybody, that I have an open enough relationship that I can trust to know that if I came to my parent, number one, they would believe me, right? Two, that was a safe space. And if you as a parent know, hey, I'm not that person, I wasn't skilled in that, I went through my whole thing, making sure you have somebody else that was a safe space, right? For them to be able to come to and say, hey, I'm having, whether that's an aunt, we used to have aunts or grandparents, but those are some key things to just start watching. Behavior patterns is a biggie. That is a big, when you start seeing that child, whether they were happy-go-lucky and their whole demeanor starts shifting, is not as happy as something is happening, whether it's domestic violence or anything else, something is happening. And a lot of times we're in a world where, of course, we, as parents, you have to work and provide, but we're so focused in on our own, on the own side, that we miss out on the parental and paying attention to what's happening with the child.
Right. And That sounds very logical, right? Because
Right.
when I remember growing up, I couldn't close my door. So
Right.
in my room, there was no closing of the door.
Right.
Right?
Right.
I'm sure everybody on here can relate because we're all in the same age
Right.
group. You
Right.
didn't close your door.
Right.
Right? I remember I would have my door closed. My mother would be like, "That's not your door to close. Open
Right.
it."
Right.
Right
We
now,
don't even have. Right.
I mean, we didn't have cell phones, so that that wasn't the thing.
Right.
Right? But you weren't, if you had, I mean, I don't even know how it is when I had boys over. Like, I don't even know. But there were things you just couldn't do.
Right.
And but what I was thinking about is all the inappropriate things that happened when we were younger.
Right.
Right? Because I was like, what is this? I can't believe this is happening now. And I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah. It's
There
just
was
on a different.
inappropriate things happening.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And you know, what we now know is gaslighting at a very young age.
Right.
At a very young age. Right? And things like that. Because this is all, to me, all encompassing. It's domestic violence in different, like, emotional, etc. Right? When you're playing with people's heads. But these things were happening as in the teenage years.
Yes. And a lot of it too is the households that we grew up in and what we're being exposed to, right? And what we as children you normalize. And because I was exposed to domestic violence growing up at 14, I thought that was normal. One of another 14-year-old, he watched it in his household. So a lot of it has to do with what are we being exposed to, right? What are we teaching our children is okay and is normalized? Those are key factors into that.
And you know what else I was thinking about? Because everybody knows I'm a lover of hip hop. I love it.
Mhm.
I really started to dial into some of these lyrics, and I was like, he's talking about beating a woman.
Yes.
I wasn't even paying attention, and I said, wait a minute.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Like, this can't be good.
Right.
This absolutely cannot be good. And again, you know, I don't necessarily live in the cancel culture, right? So,
Right.
You know, canceling Puffy is like canceling our whole generation, right? Like, what are we listening to at this point? But I think about it, and I'm like, if you listen to some of these lyrics, I mean, even R. Kelly, I mean, it's actually disgusting, right? When you think about it, him calling himself the Pied Piper of R&B, the Pied Piper lured the children away,
Right.
right? He was telling us what he's doing. Right? So what do you think, and this is just Alma from her 20 years of experience and dealing with it, how do you think we should, and again, I'm putting on the spot a little bit, how do you think we should deal with this? Right? I mean, this is like really like somebody out giving the playbook to their predatory behavior. Some of these lyrics in these songs, right?
Right. I do feel, and that's why I keep saying, like, it has become a social norm.
Mm-hmm.
With from the downgrading to the thoughts that are put behind lyrics, whether that means you're listening to a song and they calling everybody a B.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, even the behaviors of drinking and doing drugs, because when you are inebriated or not in your right mind, you're very susceptible to abuse, whether that's sexual abuse, domestic violence, and it just puts you in a vulnerable situation. So it goes back to not only is it the accountability and responsibility of our parents we got to get back to parenting. I think we definitely, when you look at the numbers of high school students, and this is why I'm zoning in on this, pre-pandemic, the count was over 10 million kids and high school students were dealing with what we call dating violence, right? And that was pre-pandemic.
Wait, what do you mean? Wait, dating violence?
Dating violence is domestic violence, but it's for teenagers
In high school. Okay. Okay.
In college.
Okay.
Okay. So when you think about those type of numbers,
10
and again, that was
10 million.
Yeah, that was pre-pandemic. It's like this has become a norm, right? This has become a norm. And when we allow our children or our kids, not even allow our kids, are watching things like there's are channels and videos that they show, kids jumping on each other, or women and men jumping on each other, and they are highlighting those type of things, it just desensitizes the person on the other end watching to when something is real and it is happening to them, right? So I still say we have to start back parenting even more. I know my children thought, some of the things I made decisions about, they didn't understand. They thank me now because they're adults. They have their own families.
Right.
And they get it. But especially when we have all of this behavior, you have the predatory behavior out there, you have so many teens dealing with domestic violence and the fighting. And then now the big thing with gun violence, right? All violence is all falling into those networks. We have to get back to the basics. We have basics, and some of those basics are things that we teach through our organization on what should be done and what should not be done, what should be allowed and what should not be allowed. So to go back to your question, we got to monitor what we're listening to because it becomes normalized. We got to monitor what we're watching on television. You cannot watch The Real Housewives all day long and see people fighting and jumping on each other, and that doesn't become a part of who you are. It's hard to separate, and then it becomes hard to separate the reality from the TV. Correct? So I say to you, we got to do a better job. We got to be careful, and things are getting worse.
Things are getting worse. You said something a couple of days ago about what happens in the summer for your organization. That.
During the summer months, because school is out, we see domestic violence numbers shoot up. As a matter of fact, our team left late tonight because they were like, "You said it, the phone won't stop ringing."
Oh my God!
They left late tonight, almost like
God.
answering calls, and it's again because kids are out of school, right? Two things are happening. One, you have kids being exposed to the domestic violence and they're making calls, right? Whether that's to police or whatever, because they weren't home initially. And then you have on the flip side, kids that don't have anything to do and teenagers. And so they are getting themselves into these situations that turn volatile. So, yeah, the numbers is hot. People would say I'm outside, so
Right.
going
So,
on.
and I just want to make sure I understand what you're saying. So you're saying sometimes kids are calling in because they're home and witnessing domestic violence.
Right. We've had teenagers call, but I mean, even down to the police numbers where the chief of police here came out about a month ago, I think it was, about how the numbers have just jumped up astronomically. But you have young kids who they know how to dial 911, that are calling, hey, something's happening to my mom or somebody's doing something to my dad, so that's how these numbers are going up, and that's how we start getting more and more referrals. Our organization's entry age is 8. So we have programs for our kids who a lot of times they deal with secondary trauma. And so, again, we know what to expect during the summer months.
So Alma Domestic Violence Foundation is aligned with the Atlanta Police Department and other police departments.
We actually have the deputy chief was on our board, so we try to like Gwinnett County, they're aware of us, so we've gotten referrals from different police departments. So yes.
Okay, so you're aligned with lawmakers here locally, even legislature, things like that. About you, you're involved with them,
helping to pass laws. Just recently, we were a part of the law that was passed on stalking, making the stalking charges actually larger offenses more than a misdemeanor, because stalking a lot of times turns into death for domestic violence. Clients.
Yeah.
So we are very keyed into the laws that's being passed, things that are stuck in Congress. So yes, we're all things DV.
Okay. So then thank you for that transition. So Alma Domestic Violence Foundation started 19 and a half years ago.
Yes.
Right. Your organization is available to anybody that can dial the number, the 800 number.
Yes.
Right. Right. Okay. So do you actually go out in the street? Do you, for lack of better words, what's the word I'm looking for? Do you solicit, like, do you go out and engage, or is it all sit and wait?
No, no. We're actively engaged in the community. Like, we are part of a lot of different community events. We do quite a bit of marketing. So, like, a lot of the churches know about us. So if they, because a lot of times parishioners will get their, will talk to their church about what's taking place.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we're very involved in the community. We have a whole community department here. So we are very creative in trying to get other people to know that we're here and we're available.
Okay. So right now it's a busy time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you have a very good staff. You have a board with a lot of able people who are helping you out here raise money, do things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us, what is the mission of Alma Domestic Violence Foundation? Like, what? So yes, of course, it's all things DV, but what's your mission?
Our
Mm-hmm.
mission is to educate, empower, and celebrate survivors of domestic
Mm-hmm.
violence and help them achieve economic and self-sufficiency.
It's just so hard to unpack. So, so,
Little,
so
little by little,
yeah,
little steps.
yeah. So they're called women, men, children are calling you, saying, "I'm in trouble. Somebody I know is in trouble," etc. You then figure that out,
Yeah,
and tell us about some of the programs that Alma has internally to support these men and women.
absolutely. We have we are one of a few organizations that we have a 1 year free therapy. It's with our licensed therapy. It's a 4-step program that we have, starting with group support, which is dealing with healthy relationships. Again, not just intimate, and then that transitions into individual therapy. And it's such a process. So by the time you finish all 4 stages, you've been with us for a year. So we do regular therapy. We have art therapy, which has been incredible, especially inside of the shelters, because we do a lot of wraparound services in partnership with shelters, as well as we take individuals. So the art therapy, we do what we call rapid rehousing, which is emergency rent, utilities, if that means put them in a hotel, food, things of that nature, moving them. So we have a partnership. We're official partners with PADV. So once someone has done a TPO through
What are those acronyms?
I'm sorry, PADV is Partnership Against Domestic
Okay.
Violence. And so once they have gone through their TPO, which is a temporary protective order, then they are handed off to us if they have any type of financial need, whether that is less. When I mean financial, I mean something that's whether that's transitioning them out of that house, put them in a safe place until they can move or get a new apartment. So we do things like that. We also teach financial literacy, and we partner with banks. And because people don't understand that the number one reason why people stay in domestic violence is due to finances, either the lack of or the control of. And so finances is key to helping people feel self-sufficient so that they don't have to stay in those type of vulnerable situations. So yeah, we even do like I said, the legal advocacy piece. So we are clearly all things
And what
domestic.
does that mean? What does that mean when you say legal advocacy?
Passing, helping to pass laws,
Okay, yes,
going
okay.
up to Washington, D.C., having conversations with people on the Hill about different things that affect domestic violence. So, for instance, VOCA, which is the it's a violence against women act. I'm sorry, this VOWA. Like, the funding was held up for a while because
And why?
it was sitting in Congress for
Okay.
years. And so that affects the work that not only my organization does, but when we talk about shelters, everything. So that's what I mean by the advocacy.
Patrick, thank you for Patrick Greenway. Thank you for joining. He's asking, Alma, have you partnered with the local school systems, because it's on the rise, as you so it described to us?
In the past, and then part of our programming, even right now, is we have an entire teenage workshops and different things like that to be inside of the school. So our program coordinator is actively, and she has been actively reaching out to different schools. So we welcome the opportunity if it's a school that would like for us to come in or even offer our services. We are partnered as well with communities and schools. So a lot of times they identify clients or I'm sorry, people inside of their different schools, and they will refer them over to us. So yes, we are very open to taking conversations about being in more schools and making sure that we get our resources out.
Well, interestingly enough, of course, I went to Morris Brown College here in Atlanta, and I'm wondering, I'm sitting here thinking, like, why the AU needs you, like Morris Brown, Clark, Morehouse, Spelman, they need you, right? There needs to be some partnership, because if you're talking about pre-pandemic, 10 million high school college, is that what you were saying, that window high school college,
High
right,
school.
are impacted by some level of violence, domestic violence? That's a big number.
Right. Right.
That's a
Now,
very, very big number.
we do do some things with Spelman
Mm-hmm.
and Kennesaw State. We have an internship program,
Mm-hmm.
so that we have different college students come in to learn what we're doing and be actively engaged that way. A lot of the colleges have a Title IX department that handles that, but a lot of the students uh, don't want to utilize those services due to embarrassment,
Uh-huh.
feeling like things are not getting done or being handled. So we are actually a great outside resource that anyone can utilize if they
Uh,
need help.
so even just knowing that you
No,
exist, right? Like
we
having
exist.
the information there in the offices, and all when kids are checking into school, just almost like it should be a part of their when you check into
Right,
college, right? That
right,
these resources are available, because a lot of the time it's the first time that you've been on your
right,
own, right?
right,
I entered
right.
college. I came here at 17 years old.
Wow,
Like, and on my own for the first time. I've never really been away from my parents for an extended period of time.
wow,
So and I think that's most of us, right?
right,
17, 18 years old, and leaving New York and coming all the way to Atlanta, no family, no nothing, right?
right,
So it could be quite isolating, right? To kids. And so I think that, that's something we need to probably tap into. So anybody, including myself, who's on, and you were in the AU or whatever school you
right.
went to, the Alma Domestic Violence Foundation operates nationally
Yeah.
and internationally. Is this not correct?
Yes, yes, you are. We had our first international client last year,
Mm-hmm.
a young lady from South Korea, where we worked 3 weeks with the South Korean embassy to get her back here to the States and back on her feet. And the rest is history. She's doing phenomenal,
Amazing.
amazing. Yeah,
Bravo.
she's doing
Bravo.
phenomenal.
I just, again, this is so impactful. So I know of two major things
Hmm.
that Alma Domestic Violence Foundation does, and I really want to share them with everybody on, because again, it's a call to action,
Yes,
right?
yes,
One of them is Dinner for Divas.
yes.
Alma Foundation every year has an event called Dinner for Divas. Give us the whole shebang on that.
So Dinner for Divas is our big signature gala, and that's what really kicked off this foundation prior to the other parts of the programming. And it's actually my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Dinner for Divas is where we bring in 150 to 200 survivors that all live in shelters that are as young as 13 years old. And so they come in for a day. They have absolutely no clue what they're there for, and they go through hair, makeup, formal gowns. Everybody gets their own stylist. We have seamstress there. They pick shoes. They get they get etiquette classes. You name it, and they don't know that until when they come back that night and they walk the red carpet that they are the honorees for the evening. And it's mind blowing to see the transformation, even from that morning and that day to that night. I mean, smile. I've never seen anybody not smiling ear to ear. that night, and to just watch what happens. To just know that they are celebrated. You know, that's not an easy journey to step away from your abuser or acknowledge that you're in toxic situations. So to see them celebrated, oh my gosh. And then the icing on top of the cake is that we always have people that they would never have an opportunity to meet, that they get to meet, whether that's an attorney like attorney Benjamin Crump has been with us as a speaker, from people in the entertainment
So
industry, Sterling.
tell everybody about the last host. So the last time that Alma had Dinner for Divas was 2019, right? Alma, am I right? Was it 2019?
Mm-hmm,
Or COVID,
mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm.
And who was your host?
Shirley Strawberry off of the not Tom Jones, Steve Harvey show. Are you talking about Sterling?
Yes. And what year was that?
Sterling K. Brown. That was the year before, but Sterling K. Brown off of This Is Us,
Mm-hmm.
and boy, he was it was the hot show, so it was great to have him be a part, and it was just amazing because he stayed and met every survivor. He was one of the last people to leave because he wanted them to have that experience. And this year we're working on adding something. Every year has to be bigger than the next year, in the past year. So this year we're working to add a couple of surprises to honor a couple of people, what we call unsung heroes, who are using their platforms to help our clients or even talk about and bring awareness to domestic violence. So that'll be another treat for them. But yeah, that's what we're doing. And so that's the Big Dinner for Divas Gala, and it is August the 17th here in Atlanta.
So let me say this, because Alma is an amazing human being, but listen, we got to get people rallied, and I need you guys to dial into and lock into what I'm about to say here. So Dinner for Divas, it is a huge event. As Alma explained, it is literally like the Oscars for these survivors, and they have no clue what is happening. So they know they're getting their makeup done by professional makeup artists, hair done by professional hairstylists, their stylists present, they're getting formal gowns, shoes, jewelry, the whole thing. They're spending, think about this, 150 people to 200 people, women not knowing what's happening. These are women who have been isolated, right?
Yes.
I mean, literally brought to the depths of hell and are rising like a phoenix.
Yes.
Okay. Right. I mean, it's something special. They're going through this process. They have no clue. And at the end of the night, they're at a black tie gala being honored. Right.
Yes.
And I'm getting you guys dialed in for why. Here's what Alma needs. We need gently worn used gowns, any size 0 to size 24 or whatever, right? Gowns that you have,
26, 28,
whatever
yes.
you have, okay, gowns gently worn. I don't care if they're not clean. I'll take care of the dry cleaning on my end. But I ask a lot of, go into your closets, dig, formal shoes that you're just not wearing. I know you have them. This is what I do for a living, so I know you have them. Okay, shoes, jewelry, dresses. This is what they need. Or if you want to go online and purchase some dresses and send them on over to me, right? We'll go ahead and get them to Alma. So Alma is in looking for. She has a cache of dresses. I've seen them myself. Okay, at her offices. Okay, but she needs more because there's more women. This year it's going to be 200 women.
Yes.
Okay, so we need to make sure that in the next 3 weeks, so before y'all go out on holiday for 4th of July,
And vacation.
I need these, okay, doing whatever you're doing, we need these dresses, these gowns, okay?
Yes.
And even if they're formal suits, yes? Let's do that.
Yes.
Yes?
We accept
jewelry that you're not wearing, shoes you're not wearing, my
purses,
AKs, my deltas, okay, my zetas, my omegas, my alphas, my sigmas, all right, my kappas, dial in, lock in.
my AKAs,
now,
all
of it. All right, and it's a call to action. This is serious business, right? Alma's doing something. She's pouring back, and donations are flooding in. So here's what's going to happen. Because I know the people on this call. I want to call people out. All right. I'm going to need you. There are a couple of people I'm already going to dial into because I want you to jump on the committee with me. There's a financial commitment. I'll get you that information. Or if you know your company wants to be a corporate donor,
Yes,
we have all that data and all the information you need to dial into that. Okay. I'm going to put all the links in the bio, but this is important.
yes,
What Alma is doing with her foundation is unbelievable. Now, if you want to see it and you know me and you're here in Atlanta, you call me personally and I will walk you in so you can see what she physically is doing in her offices.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right. We'll do a very special thing. All right. Because she doesn't do that often. All right. Because again, it's a very secure environment, etc., to keep the client safe. But I will walk you in to see what she is doing. It is unbelievable. But this is something I'm extremely passionate about. And I believe in what Alma's doing and what she has been doing for the last 19 years. And if you see it, it's definitely different. But any amount is good, right? But there is this, we want the numbers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Because we're trying to raise $200,000.
Yes.
Okay?
And we need people to understand all of our services are free. So if you can imagine how much it costs for one person to go through 1 year of licensed therapy, we're not talking about somebody off the street or just general count. We're talking about licensed therapists. So all of the amount of, I'll say this, in COVID, within 2 months, we had spent over $45,000 just in rapid rehousing alone, right? And when you look at the number of homelessness, most people that are homeless, over 80% come from domestic violence situations, right? So the need is greater than the resources. And so that's why this is so important. We have added that not only if you want to give, let's say you want to come to the gala, you can buy tickets on our website, but you can also sponsor a diva. You can come in and sponsor for one of the 200 to come to the gala. They're coming. We're taking care of them, but it costs.
And I will get all these links, what I'm referring to. But if you want to talk to me, reach out to me. Okay. And because I'm all in, I am on the host committee. Okay. I jumped in because I was like, wait a minute. Right. And of course, how can I not when I do what I do for a living? Right. It just doesn't make any sense. Right. I have to. So thank you, Dre. Dre, you're gathering dresses and jewelry for me and shoes. Thank you so much, Dre. And Mel, you already know, Mel. I'm calling you, Mel. You need to jump on the planning committee you need to jump on the host committee with me. Let's talk. Yes. Mel, you definitely need to. Mommy, thank you so much. That's my mother. She's all in. Guys, I really appreciate you guys locking in with this because again, we're all at a stage in our life where things are different. Resources are different, right? And we can afford to pay it forward, right? We can afford to do something for somebody else because somebody did something for us. Right. And that's really what it boils down to. Okay. And for those who have the companies, Alma has all the proper documentation. Yes. Okay. Like we're not playing games here. This is something that is happening. The date is August 17th. I would love to see some of you there. Yes. Physically in the building. Yes. All right. Because I'm going to be myself and Johnny Washington will be in the building. Yes. Right. I will make sure, Alma, we get all the links. I will post it in mine. You can go to Alma. What is the, y'all, I don't know anything about putting things in the chat or whatever.
Oh my gosh. I just dropped our website in there, which is Alma G in the chat. Did it show?
Okay. Yep. I just pinned it. Okay. I did it.
All right. It's almadvf.org, and you can find everything about the gala right there. Purchase tickets, sponsor. Everything is right there. And we have to tell them about October. Stacey.
Oh, yes. So that's the second thing. All right. So that was the second big thing I knew you were having, right? Talking about the 5K.
Well, it's a whole weekend. So October is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and our color is purple, right? Purple is the color of domestic violence awareness. And so I always say, we celebrate breast cancer all month, but we can take one weekend to talk about the awareness of domestic violence. So the first weekend of October is Paint Atlanta Purple. And if you're not in Atlanta, that's okay. You can paint whatever city you're in purple. If you flew last year during this saw that the airport was purple, that was because of the Alma Domestic Violence Foundation. You saw the Google building, it was purple, City Hall purple. And so the first weekend of Atlanta, we encourage people to have conversations about domestic violence. Wear purple if you're at a company. Get your employees to rally and wear purple. We have 2 signature events that weekend. On that Thursday, which is October the 3rd, we have our annual Saving Survivors on the Green, and that's to help get all of our golfers engaged, men, women, kids. You can participate that way. And then on that Saturday, on the 5th, we have our annual Walk a Mile in Their Shoes, 5K run, 1 mile walk. Now, what makes this so special is that if you walk, you are partnered with a real survivor. And that as that survivor walks with you and shares their story, you're truly walking a mile in their shoes, hence the name. And
Right.
it is on the Beltline. It is one of the only certified, we are a certified Peachtree road race qualifier. So if you're out there running the races and you need a qualifier, that's right. Come talk about domestic violence and
get your qualifications.
Get your qualification. All right.
All right. So Mel, we're gonna Dre, all my people. Let's get our team together and we're gonna do the walk. All right. We're gonna go ahead and get our coins together and get our walk on. All right.
Wear your purple tutus. I mean, we go all out. And if you are a survivor, you'll be surprised the number of survivors that come out their first time talking about domestic violence. And so we welcome survivors to come and share as well. But those are 2 big events for the year.
Again, guys, as you can see, I'm super passionate about it. I'm super excited. And I feel like in talking to Alma and understanding what she does, you can be impacted too by her story and about what she's been doing for the last 19 and a half years. And by the way, she has raised the most beautiful 2 young ladies that are just special.
Thank you.
One I can have something special because she was out of the AU. So okay. Spelman. Yes. She went to Spelman. So okay.
Yes.
So you know how I feel about that, right? You're in the AUC.
Yes.
But I just, again, amongst all of that, you rose from the ashes. And I just feel like it's worth being celebrated. So, I'm all in, right? I am 10 toes down on the situation. So I'm going to be a pain in the ass, y'all. Y'all going to hear from me about this situation. Okay. About Dinner for Divas. It is so important. There's also a YouTube video. Alma, if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and drop that in my bio as well.
Okay.
So you can get a kind of a glimpse into what it looks like and how excited the women are, and seeing the smiling faces of these women, getting all dolled up and dressed up and the rest of it, and getting these resources. Also, if you are a hairstylist, a licensed hairstylist, if you are a licensed makeup artist, you can volunteer your time on that day to help these women. If you are a stylist like me, I will not be styling that day because I have other jobs that day. But if you are a stylist, we would love to have you. Alma, also, do you need people that could possibly teach classes, or something that is valuable, something that these women could benefit from, or have you already locked that up?
We have I think we have it already somewhat,
okay.
but okay. We welcome all volunteers, right? So if you just want to, you have volunteer service, you can find the information out on our website and you can sign up, because we have to have about 400 volunteers for that day.
Yes.
We do welcome any volunteers, and please let us know what specialty you have, because who knows, we may need that particular service here. So
that's anything, guys. So Alma's saying she needs volunteers for the day.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
To support, and it may not be hair and makeup, right? It could be something. It could be help organizing dresses or whatever.
Yes.
Right. It also, if you want to donate dry cleaning, right? Because again, all these gowns have to be dry cleaned.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
They all have to be dry cleaned. And so again, if you're sending me gowns, I'm going to get them dry cleaned. So that's that. You don't have to worry about that. But if you want to drop something off, because there is a dress drive in mine, or is this?
We have 2 dress drives coming up. Yes.
Can we talk about these or?
Yes. The dates are on the, I don't have the dates in front of me. They are on the website, but we
Oh, okay,
have
they are? Okay,
two
good.
dress drives that are coming up that people can participate in.
So you know the call to action, guys. We would both appreciate it if you would share that with your orbit, right? The people in your circle of influence, okay? Because again, because I know the people on here, you have a circle of influence. So it doesn't matter if you're in Atlanta, if you are in California, if you are in Alaska, if you are in New York, we need you,
Yeah.
right? You have something to give, and guess what? Don't determine the value. We want
Yeah.
it, right? We have
Yeah.
to give,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
All right,
Absolutely.
Alma.
Yeah.
What else? What else do we need to get out today? What else do we need folks to know?
Please, I want everybody to know, if you know someone that is in a situation, or as you yourself, please reach out to our organization. We can help. You can send us a private message via any of our social media platforms, which is Alma_DVF, D for domestic, V for violence, F for foundation. We're on every platform from LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can also call our 800 number, which is 844-435 6468. I'm going to repeat that, 844-435-6468. You can call our offices, speak with a case manager, or just send us an email. There's a private way to send an email on our website, as well as just info at Alma, D for domestic, V for violence, F for foundation.org. So again, I thank everyone for listening, for reaching out, for wanting to help. I know we called out I think we call out all of the sororities, the fraternities, the HBCUs. I can't forget my daughter and her husband's school, Florida State. So all of you,
right, Florida State,
all you Seminoles, but definitely we are here for the people. We are here for anyone that needs us.
Alma, thank you so much for taking the time. I sincerely appreciate it.
Yes.
Guys, I appreciate you. All the men that jumped on, thank you so much.
Yes,
Again, I really believe
that's
that it's
important.
getting solidarity.
Thank you.
Right? It's not that it only happens to women. What I'm
No.
saying is that, honestly, the patriarchy is real, right?
Yeah.
And we need you to stand up against it.
Yes.
Right? Up against domestic violence, and not allow it in your orbit at all from anybody in your network. Yes. Guys, I appreciate you. I love you guys so much. Alma, I adore you and love you.
Thank you. Love you too. Thank you for having me.
And thank you guys. You guys have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.